All right, so move on to the next segment. I'll be sharing my fight preview on the fight that will be happening this summer in the sport of boxing between Manny Pacquiao and Mario Barrios. So, it is true. The PBC reports are true. ESPN Boxing has confirmed it as well. And a lot of credible sources that Hall of Fame legend Manny Pacquiao at age 46 will be returning back to the sport of boxing in a professional bout against Mario Barrios at the welterweight division, where Mario Barrios will be defending his WBC welterweight title against Mario Barrios July 19th this summer in the sport of boxing. So, my thoughts on this fight happening between Mario Barrios and Manny Pacquiao. Honestly, this is crazy. Manny Pacquiao is coming out of retirement. His last fight was nearly 4 years ago in the summer of 2021, where he was supposed to fight Earl Spence in a title unification fight, but ended up fighting Ugas and lost his final professional fight, losing the WBA welterweight title. Now, nearly 4 years later, he comes back and fights Mario Barrios for the welterweight WBC title. I'm not sure what Manny Pacquiao has left to bring to the table at 46 years of age, because when I saw him nearly 4 years ago against Ugas, his legs were out of it. His footwork wasn't the same like we seen prime Manny Pacquiao, and he could not move well around the ring well. So I'm wondering what Manny Pacquiao can bring to the table against Mario Barrios. But it makes me think, if Mario Barrios performs the way how he did on that Jake Paul-Mike Tyson card against Abel Ramos, when that fight went to a draw, Manny Pacquiao does have a chance. But from a boxing standpoint, I love me some Manny Pacquiao. How does this 46-year-old man just skip the line of all the WBC ranked fighters at this welterweight division and get a title shot? How is the PBC allowing Manny Pacquiao to fight Mario Barrios? Is this a money grab? Is Manny Pacquiao officially out of money? Because why would anybody get in the ring? Plus, the WBC, this is the problem with boxing commissions. The WBC has to be held accountable as well. You have ranked fighters in the top 5 like Devin Haney, Conor Benn, for example, at this welterweight division for the WBC title. But Manny Pacquiao, at age 46, just skips the line. This is the problem with the commission. We just let certain fighters get privileged opportunities whenever they want. Whenever they want. And I'm going to use the WBC as an example again. Why was David Benavidez the mandatory for the WBC super middleweight title for over 2 to 3 years? 2 to 3 years. And you never gave that man a shot at Canelo Alvarez. I'm going to throw another example of the WBC. Why was it that Tyson Fury and when he held the heavyweight WBC title, why was it that the man went over a year and a half without defending the title? When he came back and fought Francis Ngannou, didn't have to defend the title? Why is it that he went so long without defending the WBC title, with him not for getting a mandatory force down his throat, or he was forced to vacate the title? I could keep going on and on how these commissions have these stupid rules, how certain fighters are supposed to get are supposed to be the mandatory, and we see undisputed champions have to vacate the title because they want the commission, whether it's any of them, WBC, WBO, IBF, and WBA, have a certain fighter that's supposed to get a title shot, but it could be a no-namer, and they force it, and which leads to undisputed champions having to vacate their titles. But I'm getting off track here. That's just a small rant of how crazy it is that Mario Barrios is coming out of retirement at 46, and when he was last at the welterweight division, got outclassed and outboxed by Ugas, and he's getting a title shot. But speaking of Ugas, this is why I'm kind of questioning how this fight is going to play out, because at this welterweight division, Ugas also lost to Mario Barrios when Mario Barrios made his welterweight debut. What was it? 2023. When he was on that David Benavidez and who did he fought? Demetrius Andre fight in the late part of 2023. So when I think of this and how easy Mario Barrios had against Ugas, but Ugas obviously had the eye problems, wasn't the same fighter. But this is what scares me with Manny Pacquiao getting back in the boxing ring. But I will say this. If Manny Pacquiao is successful against Mario Barrios, he would become the second oldest world champion in boxing history. And he was joined some all-time greats, some all-time legends in their prime of their careers. And then the really end, the twilight years of their boxing careers, somehow, some way became world champions. He would be second all-time. Bernard Hopkins holds the record for the oldest boxing world champion in boxing history when he became a world champion at 49 years of age. And Manny Pacquiao would be second due to his age being 46, because right now the second oldest world champion of boxing history is the late, great George Foreman, who came back nearly a decade after he retired in the sport of boxing, became a heavyweight champion at 45 years of age. So I'm not saying it's impossible, and it's been done before, for a fighter to come back in their late 40s, become a world champion. But I'll even throw what Manny Pacquiao looked like at 45 last year in a boxing exhibition. Did not look good. Feet were completely gone. His legs were not underneath of him. So I don't know what to expect when we get this fight in July. But the PBC card is stacked for July 19th. Hell, July 19th, for all combat sports fans, boxing, UFC, you might as well circle this as your Super Bowl of the day, of the year. Because we're getting some jam-packed fights of Alexander Usyk versus Daniel Dubois. That rematch for the heavyweight titles. You get Jesse Bam Rodriguez, a top 10 pound-for-pound fighter, returning back to the sport of boxing on this date. And the UFC, you'll see Dustin Poirier's final fight against Max Holloway at UFC 318. And then on this PBC card, you will be getting Manny Pacquiao versus Mario Barrios for the WBC welterweight title, which will be the main event of this card. And the co-main event, you'll be seeing the super welterweight rematch between Tim Tszyu and Sebastian Fundora for the WBC title. You'll also be seeing the return of Isaac Pitbull Cruz on this card. So this is a slated PBC card, and I want to see what else can unfold. But July 19th is going to be a really good day in combat sports, but I'm really curious what a 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao is going to look like in the boxing ring. I hope he doesn't get hurt. I hope he could give the fans a show. And I want to see what Mario Barrios does against an icon, a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest to ever do it in the sport of boxing. But that is my Manny Pacquiao versus Mario Barrios fight preview.